Welcome back, everyone, to the deep dive. You know, uh, breakups, they're never fun. And sometimes it feels like we're just sort of catapulted into this whole new world of dating and relationships before we're even ready.
Yeah, you really hit the nail on the head there. It's like we're almost expected to just bounce back, you know?
Right. And today we're going to be talking about rebound relationships. What are they really all about? And what can we learn from them? So if you've ever found yourself in a relationship that maybe started a little too soon after a breakup, or maybe you're just curious about the whole rebound phenomenon, this deep dive is for you.
That's right. We'll be looking at the psychology behind rebound relationships, why they happen, what those different stages often look like, and most importantly, some valuable insights for anyone who's navigating this often complex and confusing part of life.
Exactly. And we're going to be sharing some really interesting concepts and insights from some leading relationship experts
Hmm.
and hopefully help you understand those patterns that might be playing out in your own life.
Absolutely.
So let's start with the basics. What exactly defines a rebound relationship? Like what makes it different from just, starting a new relationship after a breakup?
Oh, it's tricky, isn't it? Because there's no official rule book for these things. But what we can say is rebound relationships, they tend to happen pretty quickly after a breakup. And there's often this underlying motivation to kind of soothe the pain and avoid dealing with those difficult emotions that come with ending a relationship.
Okay, so it's not really about finding a lasting connection.
Not necessarily. It's more about filling that void, that emptiness that you might feel after a breakup. And, sometimes it can be about trying to prove something to yourself or to your ex.
Ah, okay, I see. So maybe like trying to show that you're over them or that you can move on.
Exactly. Or maybe even trying to convince yourself that you are over them when deep down you're not quite there yet. And all of this can make rebound relationships pretty complicated and potentially even messy.
Yeah, no kidding. So it sounds like the motivation behind a rebound relationship really matters.
Absolutely. And, one of the key things that the research points to is this idea of attachment injuries. Basically, when we go through a breakup, it creates this kind of emotional wound. It's a disruption of those bonds that we've formed with someone. And that can leave us feeling really vulnerable and even a bit lost.
Oh, I can definitely relate to that feeling. It's like this sense of security and stability that you had is suddenly gone.
Precisely. And it's natural to want to find a way to soothe that pain. And, sometimes we do that by seeking out a new connection, but it's important to be aware of whether we're doing it for the right reasons. Are we genuinely ready to open ourselves up to someone new, or are we just trying to avoid dealing with the hurt from the past?
Okay, so that brings up a really important question then. How can you tell if you're actually ready for a new relationship or if you're just rebounding?
Well, it's a process, isn't it? And there are a few things you can ask yourself. First of all, have you really taken the time to process your breakup? Have you allowed yourself to grieve the loss of that relationship and work through those emotions?
Yeah, that makes sense. You can't just sweep those feelings under the rug.
Exactly. And it's not about rushing into anything. It's about being honest with yourself about where you're at emotionally. And another important question is, are you genuinely interested in getting to know this new person? Or are you more focused on filling a void or distracting yourself from the pain of the breakup?
That's a tough one because I think in the early stages of a rebound, it can be hard to tell the difference, can it?
Oh, absolutely. And that's why it's so crucial to pay attention to your motivations and to be mindful of the potential pitfalls that can come with rebound relationships. Because while they can sometimes be a stepping stone to something healthy and fulfilling, they can also lead to more heartache and even delay your own emotional healing.
Okay, so let's talk about some of those potential pitfalls then. What are some of the things to watch out for if you're thinking about entering a rebound relationship or if you find yourself in one right now?
Well, one of the biggest challenges is that you might not be fully present in the new relationship. You might still be carrying baggage from the previous one. And that can make it difficult to truly connect with someone on a deeper level.
Yeah, it's like you're still emotionally invested in that past relationship, even if you don't want to admit it to yourself.
Right. And, you know, another common pitfall is idealizing the new person. You might be projecting all of these qualities onto them that they don't actually possess, and that can lead to disappointment down the line when they inevitably don't live up to your expectations.
It's like you're setting yourself up for failure almost.
In a way, yes. And it's also important to remember that you're still healing from your breakup. You might not be emotionally available for a new relationship, even if you think you are. And that can create all sorts of problems for both you and the other person involved.
Okay, so let's say you're aware of all these potential pitfalls. Are there any signs that can help you determine whether or not a rebound relationship is actually healthy for you?
Well, one of the key things to look at is the pace of the relationship. Is it moving too fast? Are you rushing into things without really taking the time to get to know each other? Because rebound relationships often tend to be characterized by this sort of whirlwind romance.
Yeah, like you're trying to fast forward through the getting to know you phase.
Exactly. And that can be really exciting at first, but it can also be a red flag that things are moving too quickly. And another thing to consider is whether or not you're able to be honest with the other person about your situation. Are you open about the fact that you're coming out of a breakup?
That's a good point. Because if you're not being upfront about that, it's not really a fair foundation for a new relationship, is it?
Not at all.
Mm-mm.
And, it's also important to be mindful of how much you're relying on the new person to make you feel happy or complete. Because a healthy relationship is about two whole individuals coming together, not about one person trying to fill a void in the other.
That's such a good point. It's about both people contributing to the relationship, not about one person being solely responsible for the other's well-being.
Absolutely. And, it's also important to look at the overall dynamic of the relationship. Is it balanced? Is there mutual respect and understanding? Or is one person constantly chasing after the other? Because that kind of imbalance can be a sign of codependency, which is not a healthy foundation for any relationship.
Right. So it's about looking at the bigger picture, not just those initial feelings of attraction or excitement.
Exactly. And, ultimately, the best way to determine if a rebound relationship is right for you is to really listen to your intuition, trust your gut feeling. If something feels off, it probably is.
Yeah, those gut feelings are there for a reason, aren't they?
They are. And, even if a rebound relationship doesn't work out, it doesn't mean that it was a failure. It can still be a valuable learning experience. It can teach you about yourself, about what you need in a partner, and about what you want to avoid in future relationships.
That's a really important reminder. It's all about growth, isn't it?
It is. And, it's also important to remember that you're not alone in this. Breakups are a part of life.
Hmm.
And rebound relationships are incredibly common. So if you find yourself in this situation, be kind to yourself. Allow yourself to feel those emotions. And trust that you will eventually find your way to a healthy and fulfilling relationship when the time is right.
That's really reassuring to hear.
Mm.
So let's talk more about those stages of a rebound relationship that we touched on earlier. Can you walk us through those in a bit more detail?
Sure. It's important to remember that these stages are not set in stone. Everyone's experience is going to be different. But in general, there are some common patterns that tend to emerge. And understanding these patterns can be really helpful in navigating the ups and downs of a rebound relationship.
Okay, so what's the first stage typically like?
Well, the first stage is often characterized by this intense attraction and excitement. You meet someone new and there's this instant spark. It feels like you're falling head over heels in love, and you're spending all your time together. You can't get enough of each other.
Ah, yes, the honeymoon phase.
Exactly. But it's important to remember that this initial euphoria is often fueled by a cocktail of hormones and neurochemicals.
Hmm.
Your brain is releasing dopamine and oxytocin, which are those feel-good chemicals that make you feel euphoric and connected to the other person.
So it's not necessarily based on a deep emotional connection.
Not at this stage, no. It's more about the physical and emotional intensity of the new connection. And, it's also important to note that during this stage, you might be idealizing the other person. You're seeing them through rose-colored glasses and overlooking any potential red flags.
Yeah, it's easy to get swept up in the excitement and ignore those warning signs.
Absolutely. And, this stage can last anywhere from a few weeks to a few months. But eventually, the initial intensity starts to fade.
Okay, so what happens when the honeymoon phase is over?
Well, that's when you enter the second stage of a rebound relationship, which is often characterized by disillusionment.
Mhm.
The rose-colored glasses start to come off,
Yeah.
and you're starting to see the other person more realistically, flaws and all.
So it's like reality is setting in.
Exactly. And, this can be a difficult transition because you might start to realize that the other person isn't who you thought they were. And you might start to question whether or not this relationship is actually right for you.
Yeah, it can be really disappointing when that initial fantasy starts to crumble.
It can. And, during this stage, you might also start to feel more of your own unresolved emotions from the previous breakup resurfacing.
Oh, that makes sense. It's like you've been so focused on this new person
Yeah.
that you haven't really dealt with your own emotional baggage.
Precisely. And, this can lead to conflict in the rebound relationship because you're bringing those unresolved issues into this new dynamic.
Okay, so what happens next?
Well, if the relationship survives the disillusionment stage, you might enter the third stage, which is often characterized by a deeper emotional connection. You've gotten past the initial infatuation and you're starting to build a more genuine bond with the other person.
So this is where it starts to feel like a real relationship.
Yes. You're getting to know each other on a deeper level, you're sharing more of your vulnerabilities, and you're developing trust and intimacy. But it's important to remember that this stage can also be challenging
Yeah.
because you're still healing from your previous breakup, and that can make it difficult to fully commit to this new relationship.
Yeah, it's like you're still figuring out who you are and what you want.
Exactly. And, it's also important to be mindful of any patterns from your past relationships that might be playing out in this new one. Because if
Yep.
you're not aware of those patterns, you're likely to repeat them.
Okay, so what's the final stage of a rebound relationship?
Well, the final stage is resolution. And this can look a few different ways. The relationship might end, or it might evolve into a healthy and lasting partnership. But either way, you've reached a point where you've processed the emotional ups and downs of the rebound experience. And you've learned some valuable lessons about yourself and about what you need in a relationship.
So even if the rebound relationship doesn't last, it can still be a positive experience.
It absolutely can, because it can help you to grow and to evolve as a person. And, it can also help you to clarify what you're looking for in a partner and what you want to avoid in future relationships.
That's a really helpful perspective. So if you're listening to this and you're currently in a rebound relationship, what's your advice for navigating it in a healthy way?
Well, first of all, be honest with yourself about your motivations. Are you genuinely interested in this person, or are you just trying to fill a void? And be honest with the other person about where you're at emotionally. Let them know that you're coming out of a breakup and that you might not be ready for a serious commitment.
Yeah, that's really important because it's not fair to lead someone on if you're not sure what you want.
Exactly. And, it's also important to take things slowly. Don't rush into anything. Allow yourself time to heal and to get to know the other person at a comfortable pace.
Don't try to force it.
Right. And, it's also important to focus on your own well-being. Make sure you're taking care of yourself emotionally and physically. Spend time with friends and family. Pursue your hobbies and interests. And don't be afraid to seek professional support if you need it.
That's such good advice. Because it's so easy to get caught up in the whirlwind of a new relationship and neglect your own needs.
It is. And, ultimately, the key to navigating a rebound relationship successfully is to be mindful and to be intentional. Pay attention to your thoughts and feelings, communicate openly and honestly with the other person, and most importantly, trust your intuition.
That's really powerful advice. Thank you so much for sharing your insights with us today. This has been an incredibly enlightening conversation.
You're very welcome.
And for our listeners, we hope this deep dive has provided you with a better understanding of rebound relationships and how to navigate them in a healthy and fulfilling way. Remember, it's okay to take your time and to prioritize your own well-being. And when you're ready, you'll find your way to a love that is both genuine and lasting.
And don't forget that every experience, even the challenging ones, can be an opportunity for growth and self-discovery.
Absolutely. Thanks again for joining us on the deep dive. We'll see you next time.
Until next time.